Hikaru, I just thought, it's a fair matchup. It's kind of a 50-50 against him, and it's going to be very tough. He'll never make it easy. Even the match he lost against Sindarov, like definitely I can beat him. He can beat me, but it's one of those matches where no matter what happens, I know I'll have to be kind of on the entire match, right, to beat him. And that's sort of what happened with Sindarov. Like he was outplaying Sindarov in almost every game, but in these kind of critical moments, Hikaru was relaxing a bit, kind of visibly, physically relaxing a bit, and Sindarov was never relaxing. So Sindarov actually tricked him or came out ahead in these like time scrambles so many times. It was remarkable from
Yeah.
so many bad positions he defended. Um, and Hikaru, I think, probably underestimated him a bit. I had an advantage because once I saw the match against Hikaru, I was like, okay, now I know what kind of player I'm playing against. Like this guy, I can basically never relax, right? I can beat him, but I can never relax. And I think Hikaru did relax at some critical moments, and that cost him the match.
I mean, even in the
Uh,
last game, in the Armageddon, right? He was completely winning, had an extra piece, and I feel like once he got that extra piece and got into the end game, he was like, okay, this is a technical task. It seems to be
that
fairly
wasn't
easy.
Armageddon, but it was a must win for Hikaru, but it wasn't an
Correct.
Armageddon.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, right, right. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
wasn't
it
an
was a must win.
Armageddon.
He was
Hmm.
winning, and you can see that he did. You were probably doing commentary.
I was, yeah, yeah.
You could have seen from his video I was watching too that he
He
relaxed
relaxed.
at some point.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes, yes.
Because he thought the game's over. And
Hmm.
from an objective point of view, sure, it was winning. But once I saw him relax, I had this feeling like maybe something's going to go wrong now. I also said this to Miguel, who I was there with. I said, okay, he was like, okay, game's over, whatever, whatever. But he's not really, he doesn't seem fully concentrated. So I'm not sure that the game is actually over. And then it got a bit messy. I was really watching very intently. I was thinking about the position too. It got a bit messy, and I started to feel like maybe this game, and you need to win. It's not like a, draw. Sometimes if like you can relax maybe a bit, and it doesn't cost you so much because you messed up a win and you drew the game, but match goes on. This was a pivotal moment in the match. A win, and it goes to Armageddon. Actually, no, it goes to Blitz, I think. They were still playing Rapid. But this is not the time to relax. I understand though, it can happen. Sometimes you don't feel like you can't control it, just your body relaxes. It's just a normal stress response. Like I've been in stress for the last 4 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours, whatever it was. Um, and your body no longer wants to deal with that. So it just kind of let's go for a second. Just a second, but a second is
Yep,
all it takes
exactly. Yeah,
for the game to turn.
yeah. No, and that led to obviously Hikaru's frustration. It was sort of a pile up of missed opportunities, but that led to him saying that maybe it's time to hang them up, especially in classical chess. What do you think of that? And I think this was something that Magnus was also asked: are you going to miss Hikaru if he quits classical chess?
Well, first of all, Hikaru, even if he quits classical chess, obviously he's not going to quit chess as a whole. So to say you'll miss him when he's going to be um, anyway involved probably in a lot of Rapid and Blitz and all these online tournaments and his own other chess endeavors. Um, Clearly, he's going to be in the chess world for a very long time. And I think retirement is a personal thing. It doesn't have to be connected to his strength because obviously he knows and everyone knows that he is um, an absolute top player. And if he decides to, be a top player for the next 5 years, then he will probably stay amongst the top if he keeps up motivation and so on. The strength is there. I mean, it's, you know, I've also known Hikaru in one way or another since we were kids. He's a few years older, but I played him in like probably either late 90s or early 2000s when I was a kid and he was a slightly older kid. And so, of course, it's strange to imagine a chess world where Hikaru's not actively playing. Um, but this is a personal thing. If you're in your 30s, as we all are, and he's in his mid 30s, and you want to do other things besides chess, then that's just your own choice, right? And as you can imagine, as anyone who has played chess professionally can imagine, it's enormously time consuming. So to balance playing 1 month straight event like the candidates and having a normal family life where perhaps you have even kids or whatever, is pretty challenging because you kind of have to neglect either one or the other a little bit. Like it's you can't balance you can balance them both for like let's say he's playing freestyle, right? He can balance them both. But if you're playing the candidates or world championship match, you can't balance them both. It's just impossible. It's too much of a time commitment. Um, so you have to make uh, some concessions.
Sacrifices.
Or,
Yeah,
yeah,
sacrifices. Big
say yeah, you could
sacrifices. And
call it
at some point,
sacrifice.
those
Yeah,
sacrifices are starting to become a bit too much of a burden, especially
but
as you
that's a
just
personal
mentioned,
thing.
if you have a family.
I won't comment on that. Like in terms of his choice. I mean, that's everyone will choose, right? Their own thing.
Yeah.
But also I think people can say things very emotionally. Like you lose a match and you just get very emotional. So although he has maintained that he'll reconsider his career after Norway Chess, uh, maybe he mentioned some other tournament, but I do remember him mentioning Norway Chess.
The American Cup and Norway Chess. Yes.
Yeah, I
Norway
mean,
Chess being the last
again,
classical event.
it's his choice, but one event doesn't make or break a career. So I wouldn't urge him to stake everything on one event. I've had disastrous events. Uh, Once you see it through the lens of many years, then you realize one event basically didn't decide anything, unless it's a world championship match. That obviously can decide a lot. But one random Norway chess or Tata Steel, in my case, I had a very bad Tata Steel, and he might feel like he had a bad Wiesenhouse. But again, as I mentioned, from my point of view, he played pretty well there. I mean, he lost one very close match, and then he beat two top players, including the world champion. Now, he was obviously tilted. I do remember when he was playing Rook Knight 2 versus Rook Knight 2 for about 12 minutes straight, which was kind of silly. And obviously he was tilted. But for whatever his view of the tournament is, it actually was not a bad tournament. He did have overall a pretty reasonable result in hindsight. Um, Same for me. I mean, I had overall a reasonable result, even though it wasn't perfect and it's disappointing to lose the final. But I'm trying not to I'm trying to take things in perspective a bit because you have
There's too many
you have a lot
tournaments,
of
right? I
disappointments.
mean,
What's that?
there's too many tournaments. Like you're going to win some, you're going to not make it, let's say, to the finals in some. In this one, you made it to the finals, obviously.